Everybody, good morning. Welcome to the morning show. Coming at you live from the Jersey Shore today. But you don't want to hear from me. You want to hear from Steve and JC and our guest today, Brian Lund. So glad to be back. We missed an interesting day in the markets. We'll talk about it right now. Let's go. Smash the like. Here we go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Welcome to September. It's my favorite month of the year. How are you, Mrs. Strazza?
Good. How you doing? You have a nice long weekend?
I did. Spencer Israel gallivanting along the Jersey Shore today. You know, he was just bragging about how he's in a $5 million house. That's what I got into.
No.
He's like, yeah, it's worth about 4 or 5 million. No big deal.
That's not what it's worth. I was just guessing. I don't know.
Got good internet.
No big deal. Just a little flex. You know, he's just flexing to Alfonso. He's like, I don't know where you are in Venezuela, but I'm in a $5 million beach house in the Jersey Shore right now. Oh, good glory. What was the best monthly candlestick that you saw?
Probably be somewhere international.
Yeah, you know, I think I don't necessarily have a chart that I would say is the best monthly candlestick. I would say that kind of collectively, just the sheer amount of massive tails in these monthly candles is you know, right? You know what I'm saying? This is like the Basketball Hall of Fame, where we include, like, you know, women and the Olympics and high schools and plays, right? It's not the Pro Basketball Hall of Fame, right? So I can include actual types of candles in that answer, right? You feel me on that?
And yes, but I also feel like, so you're talking about stuff like the Global Dow, S&P 100. The candles look like
Nikkei, whatever. Yeah. Just massive tails. Just go chart by chart. Tails.
But isn't that because they kind of are the S&P 500? Like, you got a really nice wick in emerging markets too. They are everywhere. So yeah.
And then just think about what happened, right? You got that sell-off at the beginning of the month, and then they all close at the highs of the month.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, it's good action over that time frame, but yesterday's action on a much shorter time frame, not as good.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's probably well said. That long-term action we saw was great for sure for the bulls. Short-term action, not so great. Multiple time horizons. By the way, we're going to get into the state of the markets right now, but I just want to reiterate how frequently this multiple time frames thing keeps coming up in conversation, whether I'm part of the conversation or not, by the way.
It's important. Yeah.
So shout out to our homie Brian Shannon, who literally wrote the book Technical Analysis Using Multiple Time Frames. Here we are. I don't know. When did you write that book? Must have been over 15 years ago. And here we are, and everybody's talking about that sort of thing. So shout out Alpha Trends. Brian Lund, speaking of West Coast Brian Lund, guest on the show today.
The same people who were out here cheerleading when we made a little rally off the lows are going to be freaking out that we're about to retest the lows. Just look out for that. It's probably happening like today.
Lows in what?
Index.
In the S&P 500?
Yeah, that conversation changes fast is my point.
But you're saying that you think that S&P tests which lows?
August. I said people will start saying that after a day like yesterday. We're back below VWAPs now. So, you know.
I guess all right, let's go. Why don't we hit the little state of the markets, and then you can tell me all about.
The point I'm trying to make,
ladies and gentlemen, what's that?
The point I'm trying to make is like something like the NASDAQ 100, maybe not the S&P because it got back to those old highs, but the NASDAQ 100 is 5% away from its closing highs from August. So it's like 2 more down days like yesterday, not even. So,
you mean closing lows? Closing lows.
Yeah, closing price on August 5th. Yeah.
All right, so we've got, speaking of the NASDAQ, down another 80 basis points this morning. It's 150 points for the NASDAQ 100 futures, down to 18,850, well below that 20,000 level that we keep pointing at. Dow futures down 20 basis points this morning. That's 75 points to the downside. However, Dow futures still hanging in there, just under 40,100 for Dow futures. S&P futures down 24 points. That's almost 0.5%, 55.20 for the S&P. And now we're looking at the 30-year bond futures, which are flat today, just above 124. Been hanging out there for a minute now. Crude oil continuing to sell off, down to 70. Flat this morning, but crude oil all the way back down to 70 from above 80, which I felt like just a few days ago. Copper still hanging in there above 408 for copper, down 1/3%. Gold down 20 basis points this morning, still above 2,500. Silver up 0.5%, 28.50 for silver, with the volatility index up to, ready, 23 for the BIX. How about that? And then moving over to the old funny money, you got Bitcoin down another 1,000 points today, 56,560, down 1,000 points. That's 1.6% to the downside for Bitcoin. Ethereum down almost a full percent, 2,400. Solana up almost a full percent, 128. You got Binance under 500, down another 4% today. Total crypto market cap, Spencer Israel, 1.94 trillion, with the Bitcoin dominance still up there above 57% for Bitcoin dominance. All right, ladies and gents, what stands out from this morning's futures action?
Nothing. Early follow through.
Nothing. Wow, that was a quick answer. Nothing stands out from this morning's futures.
No, you got to wait. You got to see it after a day like yesterday, right? It's not uncommon for these moves to be reversed in a big way the next day, but we're starting out lower. So, that's what we got to watch for now.
I want to talk about the purgatory, and then I want you to tell me about the short-term action. So, first of all, let's throw up the technology relative to the S&P 500. Here's slide 2. We're doing a good job here of zooming out. Yeah. By the way, our monthly chart strategy session, here, let me drop it in.
It's hurricane season.
It's hurricane season, and the Miami Hurricanes look fantastic. Spencer Israel, if you could drop the link there for anybody who has not registered for this evening. We have our monthly charts strategy session tonight. So I got these long-term charts top of mind right now. Big day for me today. As Strazza always likes to make fun of me. Today's one of my favorite days at work. All day. I cancel all meetings.
He works hard
anyway.
Yeah, he works hard today.
And I focus all on, I work differently, Strazza, differently, right?
Yeah. He ignores everybody. It's cool.
Right. It's great. I get to ignore everybody. I get to just be like, oh, monthly charge tonight. Sorry, can't talk. Talk tomorrow.
Is it about the call? Then don't talk to me.
That's right. Well, that's life. So here we're looking at the technology sector index relative to the S&P 500. So this is the most heavily weighted sector in the S&P 500 relative to S&Ps. And, I have people, even close friends of mine, that tell me, they have the nerve to tell me, Strazza, can you get this, that the fact that technology relative to the S&P 500 stopped going up at the exact same level that it stopped going up 24 years ago during the dot-com bubble peak, they tell me that's just a coincidence, Strazza. Do you think that that's just a coincidence, or is there market memory?
No, but you can't blame them because most people don't stare at as many charts like we do. So we simply know better than to say something like that at this point because we've seen polarity.
So you're saying that it's not fair, we're cheating because we actually take the time to look.
Yeah, I mean, when you see polarity play out in the market time and time again, you look at a chart like this, you don't doubt, you don't second guess this.
So what would you say to a friend of ours, one Mr. Michael Batnick, who thinks this is bullshit?
Love Batnick. Can't wait to see those guys.
And then there was another guy. Right? Those guys were trolling me. Some other guy was like, "Oh yeah,
that was funny." They should do those. They should do those videos more though. That's great. Different perspectives. So JC's talking about he was the chart guy talking about how this polarity is real and matters. And somebody else came on with more of a fundamental economist sort of background and talked about how that's crazy town to think that the market has memory.
Let me ask you this, Mr. Strazza. If me and this particular gentleman, who I don't know and I've never heard of, this particular gentleman who was saying all sorts of not so nice things about me, if the two of us are up on stage on a panel discussing this, Does this guy stand any chance at all to come out victorious against yours truly?
I don't know what you're worried about. Of course not. I don't know why you even listen. It's different perspectives.
That guy will have nightmares about me after that panel's over.
We need people like him and Michael Batnick. I'll tell you why. If everyone believed what we're saying is true, we would lose all of our edge. We need those people for this to keep working as well as it does.
Yeah, we need Gators fans out there to give us things to make fun of over the weekend when the markets are closed, right? Like that. Like that what you're saying?
Social media has been. So I went out in the world yesterday. I was outside for 5 minutes. The amount of Hurricanes gear that I saw in those 5 minutes. Say what you want about Florida sports. I know people, maybe it doesn't translate into ticket sales. These people love their football. It's really nice.
Yeah. The Miami Hurricanes being good. It's good for college football in general. It's like when the Knicks suck, it's just not good for basketball when the Knicks are the worst team. Like whether you hate the Knicks or love the Knicks, it's good for basketball if the Knicks are relevant. You know what I mean? It's good for basketball. The Canes football is like that too. All right. So my thought here on technology, getting back to the point, is that technology is like in purgatory right now. It's in that wait and see how long this is going to take. Is it going to take months? Is it going to take quarters? Is it going to take years? Technology on a relative basis is pushing down against new 52-week lows, by the way, relative to the S&P 500. Next chart, please, Mr. Spencer Israel.
Yeah, you can't see it that well in that chart, but this is short term. This is a top.
This is what leads me to believe that ultimately technology does break out. I've been in the camp for many, many years, not just now that semiconductors are cool, but I've been in the camp for a long time that semiconductors are a leading indicator for tech. You can't have any tech without the chips, right? I've always said that. You know me. I've always said that, not just now. I'm not just cherry picking because it's convenient for this particular segment. You're looking at semis relative to the S&Ps exceeding those dot-com bubble highs, while technology is still stuck in purgatory. So semiconductors are in heaven, technology is in purgatory, and what? Staples are in hell. I mean, I don't know. What?
Listen, I like how you did this, because there are two ways to look at it. One is structurally, we're probably good, and XLK SPY probably looks more like SMH SPY in the future. How long can that take? We don't know. Also, there's a long way to go. There could be a lot of give back. Like we just talked about XLK SPY. If you were to zoom in, you see a short-term top primary trend is rolling over and turning down. SMH SPY moving from 150 back to 130 and just retesting that breakout level, that is some massive underperformance to get you there, right? So while the structure is good here, and I agree with you, we want to trust SMH more than XLK, the path in getting there, I don't know. That could be not the best. You could go through a bear market, and that could just be a retest. That ratio chart is my point.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So like technology could sell off on a relative basis, break down to new 52-week lows, which is very close to doing.
Yes.
And then semiconductors don't break down. They just retest those dot-com bubble highs, further reiterating just how much market memory there is from those levels. Is that not right?
Yes, but a retest of those levels in that ratio, that could come with a bear market. That could be 20% at the index level. It really could.
Okay, why don't you tell me about these chips? This next chart, you're looking at a rate of change of the semiconductors?
Yeah, it's hurricane season.
So hurricane season, and you're not talking about football or the weather.
No,
is that right?
No, neither of those things. I'm talking about volatility.
Volatility. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me.
So
Volatility.
I do really simple chart things, right? This is the simplest chart. It's a price chart, and then it's showing you the daily change in SMH in the upper pane. We haven't had a 6% down day in over 4 years. That started in July. We've had 3 since July now, right? So we had one in July, August, now again yesterday, down 6% in a single day, the best stocks in the market. You would have to go all the way back to June of 2020, the last time we were down 6%. During the pandemic, it happened all the time. If you just look to the left-hand side of that chart, you could see all of those big down days during Q1 of 2020, March of 2020. However, we've had 4 good years, low volatility, a nice environment, a risk-on environment led by semiconductors and other tech trades. That's ending now, right? So we don't know how bad this gets, but what a change in character. to have 6 down days in to have 3 6% down days in a month and a half, when something like that hasn't happened in 4 years. This is what I'm talking about when I just say the nature of the selling has changed. Bears are out like in full effect. When they come out and they do sell, things are getting ugly out here. And that's a big difference from anything that we've seen so far this bull cycle.
Let's look at the Nvidia, please. This is slide 5.
Yesterday.
This is slide 5. Okay, so this is Nvidia. These go back all the way to that 2018 correction. And this is a big one, right? So we've agreed that this is the most important stock in the market right now. And me, who I am very quick to dismiss such things as nonsense and overrated and overhyped, I'm that guy. And I can't say that about this situation. Nvidia, you know, the biggest stock by a long shot in the most important sector in the world. Arguably the greatest stock of all time, considering the returns that we've seen. 300,000% returns, like just crazy astronomical returns. This is the most important stock. This is arguably the greatest stock of all time. So yes, it's very important. Even if you wish it wasn't, it is. It's over 7% of the NASDAQ 100. It's over 6.5% of the S&P 500. It's 19% of the technology index. It's 19% of the semiconductors index. I mean, this thing is an absolute beast. Everybody owns it. Whether you believe that nonsense that you're a passive investor, it's always funny when people actually think that they're passive investors. You are giving you are sort of giving somebody else the right to be the active portfolio managers. And in fact, those active managers, what they did to passive investors is that they did a little flip mode squad on them, where they took the massive weighting in Apple and the small weighting in Nvidia and switched it. So now all these indexes have a much smaller weighting in Apple, much larger weighting in Nvidia, right? And that's pretty much when Nvidia stopped going up, as we recall. Probably not a coincidence. So I'm looking at that 125 level. We're still stuck below that. This thing's a mess in the short term. What did we talk about before earnings? We said if we break out above 140, that's when the volatility can really get going. That's when shit can really hit the fan. Market's not pricing that in at all. However, to the downside, I think that there's less volatility implications for now because it's really just stuck in this range. And that's what we're in. We're stuck in the range. We're still at the same levels we were in back in May. We're at the same levels we were back in last month. We're pretty much in the middle of this massive range. However, with technology on a relative basis pushing down near 52-week lows. So how do you think this pans out? Messy for longer? Do we get a ripper from here to new all-time highs? Do things get substantially worse?
How this pans out, I think, depends all the way on what the rest of the market is doing, right? We've had a thin bull market, at least so far. It's been dominated by mega cap growth and tech. Sure, other stuff's been working, but we need more other stuff to work, right? So what is small cap?
Why would you hold on? Why would you say this is why do you say this is a thin bull market when you have industrials, financials, healthcare, materials all making new all-time highs, utilities, REITs, staples?
No, I know.
Like pretty much every sector is making all-time highs except for what? Technology, discretionary.
Listen, we have the data, right? But the easiest way to kind of illustrate the point that I'm making, we could do back tests and send you all the stats.
No, I just don't think it's right to call it a thin market.
JC, the value line and Russell 2000, are they better representations of what most stocks are doing, or is the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ 100 a better representation of what most stocks are doing?
I don't know about the Russell 2000, but the value line, I'll give you that one. And they do look alike, to your point.
So the trend still hasn't really reversed there. We still really don't have confirmation that that's a primary trend reversal and that that's a new uptrend for most stocks. So that's the easiest way to visualize what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, the value line represents the median component. And to Strazza's point, the median component is literally flat for the year.
I say average because some people get lost in median, but sure, same difference. Absolutely.
Let's just say that if you get lost in median, you are below average.
So
is that right? Like if you get confused with median, then you are below average market participant.
Yeah, I'm just trying to, make things easy here. Most stocks have not completed reversal patterns, is all I'm saying. So I think to answer your question, how ugly is this for the whole market, Depends on what charts like regional banks, biotechs, ARC, IWM, what do those look like in an environment where tech stops leading, right? Are they trending higher? I think things are okay, right? Tech can take another couple months off, another couple quarters off. Some of these charts have remained really hot. Others have been sideways for 2-3 quarters already, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think it would blow anybody's minds if tech stocks just kind of went sideways for a couple quarters here and the rest of the market picked up the slack. What you don't want to see is tech stocks start to trend lower on absolute terms, right? We're going to bring those tops charts back out. They were tops and then they weren't tops, and now maybe they're tops again, right? So we're going to monitor all those. You don't want to see trend reversals to the downside on absolute terms.
Well, let's remember that technology, large cap tech, peaked almost 2 months ago. So let's keep that in mind. However, on an equally weighted basis, peaked almost 2 months ago too on an equally weighted basis. So yeah, technology struggle city here, while some of the other areas are doing well. And yeah, I think Strazza's point, as much as I could tell, as much as I would love to tell you that Strazza's completely full of shit, that does bring me joy. He's got a point on the value line, right? So you're seeing new all-time highs, industrials, financials, healthcare, materials, utilities, staples, REITs. REITs aren't making all-time highs, but they are making multi-year highs. So you're seeing all of those things. But to Strazza's point, that median stock represented by the value line geometric index is flat for the year.
Yeah. If that completes a trend reversal and techs are underperforming, we're good, right? If we could say, oh, value line, new uptrend, great. I think things are good. That's the easiest kind of cheat code for this. I want to address one thing from the chat before we bring Kenny on real quick. Was August 5th a warning shot? I saw something like that in the chat. Project Tenable. Where was it? Was the yen yo-yo day a warning shot? July 17th was a warning shot. July 24th was a warning shot. August 1st was a warning shot, right? We had a number of warning shots. You guys were giving me a hard time sounding bearish out here in July, saying I'm taking profits and things. The character of the market simply changed long before the yen yo-yo day. The question is, was the yen yo-yo day the bottom? Was that the low, right? Because I'm still seeing more warning signs. Yesterday was another one. So are we out of it? I don't know. That's really the question. But
this is a good question, because this is something that I think about myself, about these warning shots when you get these volatility spikes, like the cockroach theory. You never have just one.
They're everywhere.
Right? That's how I think about this. We'll see. Here's the beauty of it. Strazza doesn't know. I don't know either. And everybody in the chat, as much as we love you, y'all don't know either. Right? That's the beauty of this market. Uncle Warren don't know. Carl Icahn, Ackman, the pretty lady on the TV. Nobody knows. So all we can do is take information from the past, because we only have information from the past, right? Like if we had people like, oh, JC, you're only looking at the past. Well, if you could find me a data source that can provide me with data from the future, I would love to take a look at that. But you see, I don't have that. So we are forced to look at data from the past in order to try to make decisions about how to profit from the future, knowing full well that we have incomplete information. We are making the best decisions we can with information that we know for a fact is incomplete. And shout out Annie Duke. We give Annie Duke a lot of shout outs here on the show. She writes a lot about this in Thinking in Bets, which is more about poker, but she brings it to the markets. It's really the same thing. We're making the best decisions we can with the information we have, knowing that information is incomplete. We know that. So I just want to reiterate that.
Absolutely. And when we know that maybe there is a heightened degree of things that we don't know, right? Or a higher level of uncertainty, or if we think downside risks are elevated, or we're in an environment where volatility is spiking and fading, right? In a wild way, what we can do, not knowing all of that about the future, is we can lighten up. We can position size smaller. We can take less risk. We can sell things when they hit targets, right? So there's all of these different things you could do from a portfolio management position, knowing that you don't know. And for me, when I feel like there's a heightened degree of uncertainty about the future, about the primary trend, then I just lighten up. I do less, because you're right. We have no idea. We'll only know with hindsight.
All right, guys, I got our monthly charge strategy session tonight. I got to get to it. You guys have a great rest of your show. Say what's up to Kenny. BC Lund, I'm going to get plenty of them in 2 weeks in California, so you can have them for today. I love you guys. I will see you tomorrow or tonight at 6 o'clock, actually. Adios.
Go get him, Tiger.
It's been a long time coming. They ain't come from my club, they tugging. Putting up numbers, 99 pounds, and I still kept it 100. Hold up. Yeah.
I know. Hello. Crazy. Is it just me? I get to host the show?
I was gonna go refresh my coffee, but fuck.
I'll do it. What's up? What's up, Steve? What's up, Strazza?
You would have been just fine. I thought about leaving you.
All right. But
yeah.
I like that intro talking about how I know nobody knows. The shadow knows. Crazy. Everybody knows. I do know because I live in the minute. Like I live in the moment. I live in the second.
Okay.
So we kind of do know. That's what's so awesome about being just a trader for the day. You know, again, I don't need to know what's going to happen tomorrow because it doesn't matter.
What is going on?
I don't know. I don't know. It's crazy.
Kenny, how do you handle a day like yesterday, right? The selling wasn't nearly as bad at the beginning of the day as it was at the end. Is it as simple as you just dropping an intraday VWAP on that first tick and then taking it from there?
What was shocking about yesterday? There was nobody buying. Yeah, I mean that was a full-on sell 9:30 to 4 day.
Which no bounce.
No, I was waiting for wait. Left track.
Is this intentional with all the laughing?
Kenny, what are you doing? I'm not doing anything.
It's not me.
Okay.
It's not me. Those laughs are coming from the Matrix.
Uh-huh.
So back to yesterday. I sat there waiting to short UVXY, but the reason I didn't do anything much yesterday was UVXY kept telling me, don't short me. So it was just like not like the Monday, the August 5th. This was the Thursday. So Thursday, Friday. Remember, before August 5th, we had Thursday, Friday, massive sell-offs, and nobody seems to remember that. So yesterday's, I'm not saying we're about to have another rollover like we did, last, at the beginning of the month. But, one thing living in the moment, UVXY kept telling me to stay short the Qs, and that was pretty much the whole trade. So, and then you just look for pockets of strength. You want to see something unique. So here are the two. I did two long trades other than short the Qs and just watching UVXY. Here was JWN. This was an earnings report from a couple of days ago.
Nice.
Right. So it really just, it's still on the watch list. It broke over VWAP. Let me show you on a real chart because this is yesterday's chart. So here's my favorite setup: the dip and rip, the fake out, shake out, breakout. So faux show, bro, dip and rip. And if you get over the VWAP and you're over the prior day VWAP, 9 times out of 10, that confirms an uptrend while the market was getting hammered. So one of the earlier lessons I learned in trading is that you stay with the stock that's bucking the trend, because one of the early errors most traders make, they say to themselves, oh, the market will catch up to this name. Let's short it. It'll eventually roll over. That's completely false. You stay with the trend. So we actually had a good long trade on JWN. And there was another disaster. I kept calling it Dynegy because I'm old. And Dynegy was down, 40, 50%. And look, it's the same exact chart. So when you just trade based on charts, you take away the noise. And again, guys, get off the internet. I'm telling you, I've lost 11 pounds. I don't need therapy anymore. I'm actually in a good mood. Stay off the internet, get off of Twitter, stop watching the news. And if you're going to stay focused on charts and numbers, because they don't lie to you and they won't hurt your feelings. So dipping and ripping, VWAP breaking, this was a $26 stock that went to 32, and we had a nice move on that. So while the market was getting hammered, and, I'm sitting there waiting to short UVXY kept going up and up and up. And when consolidation happens on UVXY and the next move is up, the market's in trouble. That's Nancy Pelosi telling you, I'm selling everything and I'm going short the S&Ps. So just an absolute awesome day. And again, let's go back to this moment, living in the moment. I came in today looking for a reason to buy. Here's the Qs. And again, it's very subtle, But if you're under the VWAP the whole morning and then you get a decent break and you break a new recent, hourly high, buy it. So if you're long the Qs right here, 58.80, and you get almost $1 out of it, what are we trying to do here, boys? We're trying to make a day's pay. And so far, so good. And then, of course, space rockets and robots. So this stock refuses to die.
It's crazy, this thing.
I thought ASTS was in a downtrend. Nope. Just, again, another one that keeps baffling me with the strength, but I'm not going to fight it. I'm going to go with it, and this one continues to be a winner. But today, there's so many disasters in a disastrous market. I'm watching ZS. I know nothing about this one, but it just popped its head above the VWAP. It's down
earnings.
Yeah,
so
actually, it was guidance. It was guidance.
162. Tell me about ZS. What is this stock?
Cyber.
It's a cloud stock.
Okay.
It's a cybersecurity stock.
Well, so far it's getting absolutely lit up, but there's a lot of names on the menu today. You got PagerDuty, which is already showing you some signs of life. There's the VWAP break, earnings report. Again, when you trade VWAP and you trade very specific setups.
Oh my God. It's my cat, guys.
That's your cat laughing? That's a pretty talented cat.
Her foot's on the button. She lays on the soundboard. I'm sorry.
And we have figured it out. Okay, I thought it was in my head because,
it was just
sometimes I have flashbacks and stuff. So
they have these soundboards, right? And they light up and they make noises and stuff. So the cats just think it's their toy. Like they're coming over here, like playing the drums on my soundboards if I'm not careful.
Oh, man.
That is so funny. That is so funny.
Thanks a lot, Kenny.
Guys. Yeah, speaking of living in the moment, come to the website. I'm banging out 4 hours of content every morning. By 12, I need a nap. But this has been, like I said, a surprising August with the activity, and it continues to be a very, very active market. And when you're just looking for opportunities for the day and you take that whole, what's going to happen next week, interest rates, inflation, all that out of the picture, you live a better life.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Kenny. Couldn't have said it better myself.
So on that note, farewell. I'll see you in the chat room.
All right.
Have a good day, everybody.
Guys, hitthebid.com. Check it out. He's there every morning from 9:15 to about noon, trading every day. Good days, bad days, sideways days, doesn't matter. All right, let's bring on today's guest, Brian Lund, back in the house. He's here. Let's talk to him.
Jay, we've been friends for a long time. Make the call.
I mean, this is pretty professional, guys.
Nice show you got going here.
How we doing?
Good. How you doing?
Can you hear me? Okay. I think I'm on like a slight delay. My crappy beach house Wi-Fi. So I apologize for this. We'll have to do it. You ever see like those like cable news interviews where there's like a long delay, like the satellite feed, right? That's how we're gonna do it today. We're like, I ask a question and then you wait 3 seconds and then there's a thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Or not.
Like you're going remote from Turkmenistan.
Right. Yeah.
Hang on just a sec. I got to get my pet raccoon off my soundboard. Hold on.
Crazy, right? Believe that?
Wow. It's funny is when I push this to my subscribers so they can see, they never understand the reference in the beginning because like I'm always referencing what happened right before, like raccoon. I don't get it.
Yeah, they probably don't understand why we're always asking you about pot stocks either.
Yeah, well, there you go. By the way, why do I have to follow Kenny all the time? Like I just have to get my energy up. So it's 6 o'clock in the morning out here, right?
Yeah.
So
no, we're trying to wake you up. That's why we bring him on like a shot of espresso.
Well, Kenny will wake you up. I'll tell you that.
You ever do a cold plunge?
That's funny. I have not done a cold plunge. Have you?
I tried it for the first time last weekend. That wakes you up. Better than any cup of coffee. It was crazy. It just shocks you into awakeness. Yeah.
I really, really hate being cold. And the only thing I hate being more than being cold is being cold in the water. The reason I'm not a surf, like I'm born and raised in Huntington Beach my whole life. And I don't surf because I don't like to go into the cold water in the morning. So
no, I get it. I don't know how these guys do it out there. They wear the suit. It's supposed to keep them warm, but That water's cold sometimes, and they surf during like storms and stuff when the water's like extra cold. So I don't understand.
Yeah, so you'll get guys out here in the winter that will wear what's called a beaver tail, right? It's just the top part of the wetsuit with like a little thing that hangs in the bottom. You pull up like this, and I'm like, I don't understand how they don't freeze their ass off. But I guess when you love surfing, you just want to be out there every minute. So where's JC? Is he like? Because I heard something about Florida football this weekend, and I wanted to talk to him about it, but he's not here.
He's just been playing hooky a lot lately.
Okay.
I don't know, if something's going on. I don't know. I'm worried about him too.
All right.
It's okay. But Miami did win. Florida State is 0-2. We beat Florida, so he's a happy guy. He's a happy guy about all that.
I was just watching, probably before your guys' time, but I was watching the Boston College win the Flutie Hail Mary throw against, was it the Hurricanes? Was it Miami? Yeah.
I think it was. But that was before my time, Brian.
Yeah, way before your time.
What's cool about Future Proof is every year we get together, and I don't know if it's done on purpose. I wouldn't be shocked if it was, but we get to watch season 1 football. Or is no week 2, but it's the beginning of the season.
Yeah, that's cool. Maybe they did that on purpose. I don't know.
So we'll all be getting together in Future Proof in 2 weeks now. I still didn't book my stuff, but I'm excited to see you. We joke that whenever we have these conferences, like there's some sort of market volatility or something going on, and we're away from our desks for it. I think a lot of times it just feels that way.
Yeah.
But boy, is this set up for one of those moments where I'm going to turn to you. It's going to be like 11 o'clock on a Tuesday. We're not at our desk. I'm like, fuck.
Right. Yeah, and it's going to be weird for you guys because obviously you're going to be on Pacific time instead of East Coast. I'm actually doing a pretty big run here. So for those that don't know me, I tend to be a bitter, angry guy who just sits at home by himself.
Oh.
And this year, at the beginning of this year, I made I said, I'm going to get out there, right? I'm going to meet more people this year. And so I've got this run where I'm going to be in New York on September 11th through the 15th. And I'm going to be at Future Proof. Then it's Oktoberfest. So we're going to see a lot of people in the community in the next few months. I'm actually looking forward to it.
You're getting around.
I am.
Brian Lund World Tour.
Yeah, I'm having this later in life wanderlust. Like I had it when I was young, and then you have kids and family, everything, and now it's been creeping out the last year or so. So,
but you want to talk about that? It's good. It's important to get out and talk to people. Whether you're doing it on Twitter Spaces, you're coming on here, but talking to your friends, talking to other people in the industry, talking to people who aren't in the industry. That's all a part of it, isn't it?
Yeah, just people in general. I kind of joke about the being the bitter, angry guy, but I'm not an introvert, right? But they say the difference between an introvert and an extrovert is that an introvert goes into a group of people and it just wears them down, right? Yeah. Where an extrovert, it charges them up. And I've got a good, start. Like I can start for a while and I can hang for a while, but there's definitely a point where I go like this. And but I've been conditioning myself last year or two to just talk to people, and I got to tell you, I really do enjoy it. It's giving me a different. I don't know. It is kind of a later in life thing. When we were on our truncated trip to Canada,
oh God, I heard, yeah.
20-year-olds, because there's lots of expats, from New Zealand, Australia that work out there. And then I talked to 70-year-olds who were there on a tour. So I just think in the markets, you talk to people like Kenny, right? Kenny is looking for stuff to do today, right? I'm looking for nothing to do today, right? On days when things go crazy, I like to sit back and go, yeah, I'll just wait. Kenny likes to go forward. I want to interact with someone like that, right? Because maybe I learned something, maybe it reinforces, hey, you know what? This is right for me. That's right for him. So it's all good.
You're going to be like one of those Wall Street Journal reporters. You're going to go up to upstate New York and find a farmer and ask him about what he's paying for a gallon of milk and how it affects his life, and then write about it in your blog.
Yeah, well, I am going to upstate New York. It's going to be the first time I've ever been there, and I hear it's beautiful. So I'm looking forward to that.
It's good, and it's a good time of year.
That's what I hear. Yeah.
So,
and I'm going to go I'm going to go down to the exchange floor with Jay Woods. I'm going to hang out in Manhattan for a day and a half. So I'm going to do the whole thing.
That's great. That's so great that you're doing that.
Yeah. I've never met Jay in person, but we've obviously been on lots of calls and spaces, and
never met him in person. IRL.
Mm-mm.
Wow, crazy.
But he's going to be at Future Proof too, so I'll see him there too. We're going
Good.
to cross paths on planes as we go back.
It's really just become our annual hangout, and I'm so glad about it.
Yeah.
It's a time for us all to get together at a fun little conference. It's a lot less stuffy than most conferences that we go to. So I feel like for that reason, everybody kind of goes, and it creates this nice little hangout.
Well, and what about Stocktoberfest coming back, right? Because that's what before Future Proof, that's filled that need right there. San Diego, Coronado, totally cool group. So that's coming back too. Have you ever been to a Stocktoberfest? I can't remember.
Never.
Okay, it's gonna be great.
First time here. Yep.
Have you been to Coronado?
Never.
Okay, you're gonna love it. Spencer, you coming?
Where should I stay? Do I stay?
Look, if you can. So here's the trick with Coronado, right? The Del Coronado it's great, right? And it's right on the water, but it's just ridiculously expensive, right? So, I mean, if you're someone that's going to go there with like your family, Del Coronado, but like right on the street before it, like just across the street from the beach, there's all these really nice, decent hotels. I'm staying at, I think, the El Matador,
All right. Maybe I'll do the same. JC was saying the same thing about the hotels across the street.
Yep.
Great. All right. So you want to talk about the market at all?
Sure. Why not?
Yeah. What do you do on a day like yesterday? Like Kenny said, there were no buyers, but like we started out down 1%. Something like the semiconductor index fell 6% intraday. It didn't gap lower. Like it just like a steady drip lower. Are you selling things on a day like yesterday? Are you just looking for relative strength and making a list? Are you going fishing? Like, how do you actually handle that in the moment when you see it playing out?
Yeah. So coming into Tuesday, so as of Friday, I put out, I do a daily update video for my subscribers every day. And on Friday, I said, the market is set up perfect, right? It's literally set up exactly how we want it to be. It had that gap down in August. It went up, it pulled back, it based nicely. It was above all the short-term moving averages. It held support. And I said, and not only that, but all four indexes, IWM, Dow, Qs, and SPX, everything looked great. XBI looked great. And I said, I've got so many stocks I want to buy right now, but here's the thing. I just don't want to have 3-day weekend exposure, right? Yeah. Like they might gap up on Tuesday and I'll just have to figure out a spot to get in intraday if I can. And I did this thing where it's that trader thing, right? Where from the technical standpoint, everything looks perfect. But whenever you see all your charts looking like a page out of Edwards and McGee, right? Or from the CMT manual, part of me goes, let's just keep our mind open that it may not play out exactly how it did. So I bought three shorter term stocks. I have some longer terms. I bought Netflix, I bought XBI, and I bought Disney, and I got stopped out of all three of them on Tuesday. So right now I'm waiting to see if we can find some footing here, right? And if we can firm back up, but I'm not in a rush to buy anything at this point.
Getting stopped out of trades is information. When I'm getting stopped out a lot and losing a lot, I'm just going to do less until that kind of stops. The flag pattern in the S&P 500 that's breaking down now, that reminds me of the flag from July in the Russell 2000. It looked so good, it couldn't fail. And that's probably why it did. Some of these, I like what you said. Some of these patterns, when they are just way too obvious, like we don't use words like head and shoulders very often, right? Like these recognizable patterns that anybody on Twitter becomes like a chartist, when he sees them, run from those things. They fail, they reverse, they whip you around, they'll cut you up, they'll just get real messy and never morph into any sort of resolution at all, right? You want a little bit of imperfection in your chart structure.
Yeah. And boy, you want to talk about imperfection. I can't remember if we talked about this previous, but that chart of IWM, I don't think I can ever remember a chart like that where something broke out of, a base, such a big base so definitively, and then set up like it was going to move perfectly higher, failed, like horrifically failed, and then worked its way right. I mean, I can't remember seeing a major index do such a broken breakout, fail, re-breakout.
Yes. It's not supposed to happen that way.
No, it's not.
So that's an important lesson for everybody. No, really, when you see a pattern that you're like, wow, it's the best pattern ever, question it every time. Now, the question becomes, right, Brian, do we retest the lows? I know something like S&P, nobody wants to talk about that yet, but look at the NASDAQ. We're 5% away.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, if you remember when we saw some of the breakdown a few months back in SPX and Qs, we saw that money go in, or looked like it was going into IWM and the Dow. But now it looks like everything's starting to kind of roll over, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Again, it's important, I think, to not have an idea of what you think is going to happen. I mean, it's good to have okay, this could happen, but like when you get too dogmatic about, okay, I think this is going to happen, you don't keep your mind open to what could happen. And I always use the example of housing stocks at the end of the 2022 bear market. Like nobody was looking for those stocks to rocket and go higher. So I feel like the market
Brian.
feels heavy. Yeah.
Brian, we lost your camera, man. What happened there?
Did you? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Let's see if I can. No, I don't know. So,
all right.
Can you hear me though?
Yeah, you're good.
I hear you.
Yeah, let me see if I can switch to my my regular camera. Anyway, so I think you just have to keep your mind open to what could happen, so that you don't, so that you don't miss out an opportunity.
Comment in the chat that I just have to address real quick. Daniel, stops are weak. Have conviction. We'll mute you for that kind of crazy talking here. Stops are weak. Come on,
Stops
now.
are weak.
Yeah. No.
I understand what's he getting at there. What does he mean by stops are weak?
I think like you're a Sally if you're
Sally.
obeying your stops. You know,
That's my mom's name. Don't say that.
oh no, we love your mom.
She's dead, so it doesn't matter.
So no, seriously, on a day like yesterday, we're getting blown out. I'm getting stopped out of stuff always on a day like yesterday. Are you? So how I do it is I don't have resting stops. I set alerts and then I go sell. And on a really bad day or like some sort of flash crash scenario, maybe that would be bad. But for the most part, I like to go and do the selling if I can. So on a day like yesterday, if I were to say, no, I don't want to sell here, blah, 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 even though my stops are getting blown, and then didn't take those orders and actually go and sell, wouldn't that be a grave mistake as a trader? I think we're completely losing Brian here, Spencer. First the video, now the audio. I can't even hear you, buddy. I'm just here alone.
You're not alone, Steve. You got me.
You want to do some earnings and get out of here?
What's going on today, man? I mean, I thought it was just my internet, but apparently we just totally lost Brian there. Wait, is he back? Hold on. He's back. I think he's back. Brian, are you back?
Can you hear me?
Hey.
I don't know what's happening. Russian spies. So, Steve, you were saying first sell is the best sell that you'll do, you know?
Like, have you ever had a situation where your stops are going off and you're saying, no, 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 no. And then you change your stops?
Yeah, and every time I do that, I end up getting my head handed to me.
So you regret it. It's usually it's bad policy.
So let me give you an example, like how you can play a day like yesterday or any day, right? So I obviously look at daily charts, look at 5-minute charts, whatever, but I put a 5-minute chart up on all the indexes and I put on 3 moving averages, right?
Yep.
A 5 EMA, 9 EMA, and the 20 EMA, right? And I watch those because those will tell me, first of all, the 20 will tell me if we're in a trend up or trend down day. Like generally, if we're in a trending day, the 20 will be the limiter, like you won't be able to get back above the 20. But I'll also watch price in relation to the 5 and the 9. And the longer price stays under those, obviously the 5 being the shortest, the more aggressive like the selling is. So like yesterday, you just saw the price on the indexes couldn't even close above the 5 EMA until like 8 a.m. Pacific time. That tells you there's a lot of selling going on. So when you see a market like that, take your setups and throw them out the window, right? Nothing that breaks out is going to follow through, right? You're not going to find that reversal following through as long as you have, price below those short-term EMAs. Wait for it to flatten out a little bit. Wait for it to recapture the 5 and the 9 and then get back above the 20. Then if it can hold, then maybe look at that. So that's kind of how I watch the intraday action in relation to like what's on my watch list and then what the index is doing.
I do something similar. You're a little crazier than I am. I do 15 minutes every now and then. Like I'll flip it to a 1 just to see like what's going on when I'm actually executing a trade. But I'm using the 15 with a 130 period moving average, which is actually 5-day, and I'm using VWAPs. But you're using the actual 5 period, 9 period, and 20 period on a 5-minute time frame.
That's right.
So super short term. And what you'll see is rally attempts into those moving averages will get faded.
Yep, that's right. And it doesn't really matter what, what your methodology is. It's just that you have something that's showing you the juxtaposition between what your daily charts are, because daily charts are so static, right? Especially when you look at them after the markets close, like they're nice and peaceful and they look like a piece of art. But you got to remember, during the day, there's lots of stuff happening underneath. And so you want to have something that you can juxtapose against your kind of your fixed idea of what a stock's going to do, to know when the right time to get in. That's all about the entries, right? And entering right.
Do you use like a 39-minute or 65-minute at all?
That's Brian Shannon's thing, right? I've heard Brian explain it many times. He's explained it to me in person, and whenever he explains it to me in person, I go, "Oh, that makes perfect sense." And then when I'm home later and I think about doing it, I go, "Wait, why does that work again?" So I don't use that. I probably should, and I probably should use the VWAP more.
Yeah. So the reason he uses like 39 is because there's 390 minutes of trading day, and then you can devise equal. He's really big about dividing equally. He doesn't like these incomplete bars that we get. So if you use like a 30-minute chart, you'll get some that are truncated for whatever reason. It just doesn't. No, 30 works, but if you use, I guess, other periods, 60. The 60 doesn't work, so you got to use the 65. It's a whole thing.
The great thing about Brian, and the reason that he has been so successful over the years, not just as a trader but as a trading, I guess, personality, is that his process, putting his process together is so thoughtful, right? He really thinks about what he's doing. He doesn't just I do this. I wish I had more of that, but he's just methodical, and he creates this system that is very easy to follow. I mean, we all have systems, right? Sometimes we throw them out the window, but like if you wanted to follow it, you'd know exactly what to do. And I think that's the genius of what he's brought to the trading world.
And if I asked him that question about blowing a stop, he would scream at me. He'd call me off the phone, right? Because like he plans his trade and then he trades his plan, right? It's very important. So
yeah, but he'll tell you. I've heard him say, like, every now and then he'll disregard his rules and he always pays for it.
Yes.
And I almost think that like you have to do that every now and then to remind yourself, like, oh yeah, right. Like I always take the worst losses after I've had a good run, and everything's hitting on all cylinders, because then I forget, like, oh, it can go bad.
Brian, how much do you think about seasonality?
0.
Not at all. Like nothing.
We talked about this, I think maybe last time I was on. There's certain things like I just don't know about. Like I don't know macroeconomic I know what M1 is, M2, but I don't know how it affects the market. I don't care. I let somebody else tell me that. Someone smarter, someone whose expertise is there. Like I'm going to look at Jeff, right? Almanac Trader, right? I let him tell me about seasonality. The thing about seasonality for me, and maybe I should have this conversation with Jeff if he's at Future Proof.
Yeah,
I don't understand how seasonality still works. Like I get it, back in the day, there were structural things about the market, like when people go on vacation or whatever, settling contracts. But now that we're in 2024, I just don't get how seasonality, it feels to me like Fibonacci's, where it's somewhat fulfilling. But again, maybe I just don't have a good understanding of seasonality.
It's for us, we care more when the market doesn't follow the anticipated seasonal trend, right? When it really bucks it, then that's interesting. What stands out to me, I think seasonality is something that you pay attention to like 2 or 3% of the time, right? You want to be aware of it at certain moments. You want to be aware of it when it shifts. Right now, the narrative has been seasonality is a tailwind. This is great. It's election year. And that's been true, right? Election years are good. However, the couple months leading up to the election, which is shown right here, the red is the current trend this year. Blue is going back with data like to 1950 every election year. In black, we're looking at just the last 10 election years, so that'd be past 40 years. And then in gray, we're looking at the last 5 election years, so the last 20 years, right? They all look the same. And there's this swoon, this sell-off into the election in November, really into late October. And every one of these lines.
Yeah.
And we're there now. So seasonality has been a massive tailwind. And now we're getting into this market that looks increasingly dicey to me, increasingly volatile, and seasonality is now no longer on our side.
Yeah. I mean, look, I pay attention to the summer months, right?
Mhm.
Because I know it's generally there's a little bit of a malaise there. It's slower. I'll give you an example. Like I know in the summer not to push my trade, like to pull back a little bit more than to push because you're going to get these low volume days that you're going to get chopped up. But again, it's hard for me to understand how data from 1950 has any relevance today because it's like if I looked at reactions to Fed reports from I don't know whenever the Fed started announcing them, I'm sure that data from just 10 or 15, 20 years ago would be almost irrelevant because of the speed of how things information. So like again, I know it's out there, but I don't really factor it in a lot to my process.
I don't think you're missing much. We do all these extra things, right? And at the end of the day, like it's just a weight of the evidence exercise. And I swear we might be talking about seasonality and breadth and different momentum characteristics, intermarket things, but really we're weighing price 95%. And all these other things that we talk about too much maybe get that other 5% weighting, right? And then in some markets, maybe they get 10%. We care a little bit more about it, but it's really price. And then we have all these extra things that, if they're not confirmed by price, you really want to ignore them.
Yeah, and I think you said you said the most important part is when something doesn't happen, right?
Right.
There's a very famous Sherlock Holmes story called The Hound of the Baskervilles, and spoiler alert: the way Sherlock Holmes figures out who the murderer is that when this person was killed on the Baskerville estate, the hounds didn't bark, right? They should have barked, right? Why wouldn't they have barked when someone came on the estate? Well, he knew, the hounds know the person, right? They're familiar with the person. That's why they didn't bark, you're the murderer. So when a stock does something or doesn't do something that you think it should do that's signal. Like, especially if a stock, like a stock has a quote unquote bad earnings, it gaps down and then it gets all of that gap down and closes green at the end of the day. To me, that's signal, right? It should have tanked. It should have gone lower. It didn't, right? So I agree with you on the negative signal there.
Those are the best earnings reports we get.
100%.
Best ones, period. We try to buy them like every time when we see that happen. That is something that just comes with bottoms, cycle after cycle.
Because the news is out, right? Like, so whatever it was that drove that stock down pre-market, whatever, it's already there. It's not going to happen the next day and the next day. And you've seen price react to it in a positive way.
You call that like a kitchen sink quarter, a double miss. They lower guidance and the stock's not red. Oh my, those are the best earnings reports we get. Miss on top and bottom, lower guidance, everything's terrible. Cut the dividend. Oh my God, the best earnings reports. So it's counterintuitive in a way. Hi, Spencer.
But on the contrary, when it's all good news and the stock is down.
Yeah. Stuff you see at tops. So back to the seasonality. If the market, point we're making here about seasonality, if the market just rips steady right through the election, you want to be super long, right? Probably risk on market. You want to be playing offense into year end and then Q1 of next year. I think the chances of that happening now at this point are slim to none. I think this thing is going to be an absolute slop fest. It's going to get messier from here, and we'll see what happens in November. But
yeah, we've talked about this a little bit. I know Spencer gets a little upset about this, but I do think that there is some nervousness about the outcome of the election. Right? Again, this isn't a political discussion. It's just that we will go into a higher tax rate, right? If we see a Democratic president, and you can't discount that, right? Especially, and not only higher tax rate, but you'll see a higher regulatory rate or environment. Sorry. So I think there's still some uncertainty around that we won't, it won't fully be factored in until November 5th.
Yeah, Spencer, if this lady comes and tries to take all of our money, what he's saying is it won't be good for the market.
Big if true. We'll see.
Yeah. So it's a risk.
All right. Thanks a lot, Brian.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Later, Brian.
All right.
Bye.
And sadly, no, I would not be at Stocktoberfest or Future Proof for that matter. It's just, dude. I mean, you're doing it. It's far, man. It's cross country and back, and
We're not getting any work done. It's like we're just hanging out, is the truth. So I don't blame you. But good. We're all excited. A lot of trips on the horizon. Somebody told me something about Chicago too. A lot of traveling. I'm going to be in a lot of airplanes for the next 2 months now, which is okay. Not the best, but it's okay.
It is what it is. Hey, I asked Fonz to make a few charts for us. I don't know if we want to do them before we bring Mary on. I asked him to make a Asana, a Zscaler, Dick's Sporting Goods. All had earnings this morning.
How did Dick's do?
Dick's, they raised their guidance actually. It was a good report for DKS. So
Incredible.
last I checked, it was down, but it was a guidance
10%,
raise.
Spencer. Down 10%. Is this the scenario we just described playing out in real time, live on Stock Market TV? Did we just have a beat guidance boost and the market busted
Maybe.
it? 10%? Woo! Let me check.
Let's not discount the run it's been on, right? I mean, the chart speaks for itself. It's had a very good run into the report, so that's not for nothing.
Dude,
there.
This is EPS beat by 60 cents. Is that right? Revenue came in 347, expected 343. They raised their 2024 outlook. Stock's down 10%. Wow. All right. Look, you can't move in a straight line higher forever. You're right, Spencer. This stock has been so good for so long. This thing was trading below $20 at COVID. It's up 10x since then. It's not a tech stock. They sell sneakers and golf balls.
And other things, but yeah, mostly sneakers and
that's what I use them for. So that's what I know them as, sneakers and golf balls.
That's true. What else did I ask for you, Fonz? I asked you for Asana, which was getting cracked this morning on their report. I asked for Dollar Tree. Oh gosh, we talked about Dollar General last week. Dollar Tree, same report, same exact report this morning. Brutal.
Get it, chat.
Down what?
Nice.
Down what? 15%. Dollar Tree, yeah, brutal stuff.
And this is the good one. This is supposed to be the good dollar store, or there are none of those.
No, I think what we're learning is neither of them are the good one.
What was the old one? That one of them bought Family Dollar.
Family
FDO.
Dollar, which I think is owned by Dollar General.
One of them bought it. Yeah. But both of these charts are scary looking. Scary looking. Can't online retailers take this business? Has it just not happened because no one wants it? You know what I'm saying?
I think they operate in like a retail desert, right? So
Right.
if you don't have other options, even for a grocery store for that matter, right? Because they sell groceries there.
You're right. Yes.
So they're in rural areas, right? I think
the model for these stores is to pop up in areas where there are no other stores, is what you're saying.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
And that's good and bad.
Yeah. Well, as we're seeing now, it can be bad when people pull back, because
I think about this Temu. People say Temu is like an online dollar store. That's your PDD.
I'm aware.
You know about this?
I know about Temu. Yeah. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. I don't know. But dollar store, the business of dollar stores is like keep your cost as microscopically low as possible, and it all works itself out.
Yeah,
that's the business essentially. So, hey, should we bring Mary on? Mary's here,
yes.
I think.
Yes.
We just make sure. I think she's here. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Okay, we're good. Here we go.
Hey, good morning, guys.
What's up? How we doing?
Just another day. Doing well.
we've got ourselves like a false fall in New Jersey, Michigan. You're familiar, right? Where it gets to be fall weather, and then nope, it's a
Actually, that's been happening just the last couple of days. It's been pretty cool. Like the morning has been cold, and highs have only gotten to about 70. I know the next couple of days I think are 85, but then this weekend it's football weather, and like the high on Saturday is 60. That's the day I'm going to be at the Michigan game at the Big House, so it's going to be perfect. It's going to be sunny and 60. Great day to stand in the stands and cheer for Go Blue.
1 second. Let me make sure. I can't actually hear anything. Oh, there we go. Okay. We're good now.
Okay. So yeah, it's been the first false fall. Is it me or is it him? Steve.
No, it's me.
Not you.
Okay. That's all right. Yeah, so fall weather right now, but it's gonna get warm again. And yeah, I love fall. It's my favorite season. So
Is it going to be like hot in Chicago when we're there?
no, it'll be comfortable. Maybe for
Okay.
you it'll be cool.
Okay.
But when I was there last year with JC for that CMT thing that we did,
Yeah.
it was high 60s, low 70s. It'll get cool at night,
That was this
but
time of year.
yeah, middle of September. Yeah.
Right. Maybe bring a long sleever or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a fleece or something. Yeah.
All right. Good.
Yeah.
All
I'm
right.
looking forward to it. I can't wait. You're coming to the Midwest for the first time, Steve. Like
It will
you
be
should
my first time.
I'm proud of you, Steve. Proud of you.
I'm excited for it. I was talking to my barber was getting me excited about deep dish pizza the other day. He was
Yes.
telling me all about it. He was very bullish. Yeah.
I keep telling you guys about deep dish pizza, and I get shut down by JC, the pizza police, because it's casserole in his opinion. But I mean, deep dish pizza is pretty special.
I try to be an open-minded man, especially when it comes to food. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Try it all.
Try everything once, except Vegemite. I'll try everything once. So, all right,
Oh,
good.
my
And
goodness.
Michigan football. Everybody's happy about football this week, I guess.
I guess so. Well, I mean, JC probably has more to be happy about than me. The game that we played on Saturday, not the best. I mean, it's going to be a rebuilding season. We knew that going in because we lost basically our entire offensive line. So, we put up the win, but this week is against Texas.
Ooh.
And yeah, it's going to be great to be at the game. I don't know how, if we're going to get the win, but
Big.
I'm optimistic at least.
That's a big opponent to take on, your second game of the season.
They've got a really hard schedule this year, much more difficult than seasons past. And I think that has something to do with the changing of the conferences and bringing in Oregon and some of those West Coast teams. We span the entire United States now with this conference, and now we're playing harder teams and have to start earlier. So, we'll see.
Mary, are you
Yeah.
doing anything on a day like yesterday? Are you stepping in and buying this kind of a red tape? Are you looking for relative strength? Are you getting stopped out of things?
Yeah,
the
yesterday
same
I was getting
question.
stopped out, especially from on the shorter time horizon, because I do both. I've got kind of buckets, and I had put on some things last week that I was very excited about.
Yeah.
But with the action yesterday, I just wanted to get out with my money. So I took a lot of those off. I was either getting stopped out or I was just getting out before they went red.
Yeah.
Just because, you were having the seasonality conversation with Brian just a few minutes ago, and that is very, just kind of sitting in the back of my mind that September and October are typically kind of wonky months.
Yep.
And I want to have cash to put to work when things really look like they're ready to go. And if this is going to be kind of a rough patch, I don't want to ride that chop. And so, yeah, I'm taking some risk off the table. The longer term stuff is staying put because I still think we're in the bull market. But for the time being, the shorter term stuff, I'm getting out and maybe doing a day trade or two here or there. But I'm kind of waiting to see where this goes because yeah, I'm not feeling super warm and fuzzy on the inside right now after yesterday.
And if you're not feeling warm and fuzzy, reduce your exposure to risk. People were talking to me like I was crazy for the last month or two, saying I'm selling stuff. I'm feeling a little bear. And the important point about that is if we're wrong, right? We take off, we reduce risk because things are a little dicey out here. We can always add that exposure back. Like we can
Exactly.
always add it back. Oh, I was wrong. Let's get back in. You could do it like that too. Like I could do it right now while I'm talking. It's not hard, right? So if things start to feel increasingly volatile, or you think downside risks are elevated, then you just own less things. You own less things. As simple as that. Some people say, "Oh, go buy puts." You could do that too. It really works out in the same way if you do it right. But you just want less exposure to risk. That's it. And then you
Yep.
make that you change that later on when the environment turns up again. So
Exactly.
nothing wrong with that. You got to keep your money in certain times.
Yeah, I think it's you that says, there's a time to make money and then there's a time to keep your money. And right now I'm trying to keep my money because, we've had a really great run here for a long time, really. And
Yeah.
yeah, when I start to see big red candles or, especially the semiconductors, 'cause I play around in those stocks a lot. You know that. And, that kind of day yesterday, yeah.
Too
Not
many of
feeling warm
those
and fuzzy.
days, but just
Yeah.
too many days like that for the past 2 months now.
Yep.
It's become common to have a 6% down day for the best stocks. And that's not bull market stuff. I'm sorry.
Nope.
Just not.
Nope.
So maybe things turn around here. Maybe this is some like deep swoon and it rides out through the election. And then, they correct it and everything's back off to the races. But we got to see it first at this point. I think we need to see reversal patterns in small caps and the value line, right? These broad, diversified, equally weighted indexes. You really want to see them get up off the ground. Maybe the rest of the market can kind of keep this thing alive if we lose tech or growth for a while. But those are, questions that remain unanswered for now.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, so I'm going through charts and I am dropping VWAPs at highs and setting alerts just to see, if and when we get back above those areas that I kind of like to find interesting. That's when I'll start to get back involved. But for now, I'm just kind of sitting on my hand, waiting to see if we see some rotation into something else. Really excited for JC's monthly conference call, just because the monthly, especially when we look at the monthly candlesticks, it's just that nice, huge step back.
Yep.
And it really kind of helps me put things in perspective because oftentimes, I've got my computer sitting here with 15-minute candles. I can just get so lost in the noise of every day that the monthly conference call is so helpful to me to kind of take that big zoom out and the big picture and where are we headed? What are we going to do about it from a longer term perspective? So if I'm not going to be trading super actively here for the next couple of weeks, I know what I'm going to be doing for the next couple of quarters or even years, and I'm making a shopping list. And that's kind of where my attention is at right now with the market action we've had so far the last couple of days.
And really, that's the best thing to do on a day like yesterday is to look for the relative strength, throw them all on the list. Like Kenny came on and was saying, hey, look at Nordstrom yesterday, look at the ASTS, things up 10% in a tape like we had yesterday. That really stands out. Then you want to watch those stocks and maybe get involved when the broader market kind of finds its footing.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I mean, things can't be that bad. I brought along the Berkshire chart just because it's something that we've talked about often.
good.
I mean, things can't be that bad if Berkshire is at, all-time highs. So, financials have been strong. It's a pool that I'm kind of fishing in right now just to see because relative strength is there. And, if I do start to take some trades, that's one of the areas where I'm looking to go long.
It's interesting these days. What Berkshire is doing versus what Berkshire's stock is doing are telling us two very different things. No?
That's actually a good point because they're doing a lot of selling. So, very interesting.
Something to think on.
Another thing analysts have chased this AI thing so high for so long, and now that works in reverse at a certain point, right? Now they start chasing this thing lower. So a lot of nasty kind of downgrades out here, super micro, ASML today. If the analyst community turns on semiconductors and the AI trade, it's going to pour. And those are now catalysts for downside, catalysts for a stock to open down 2, 3, 4% on a downgrade and a lowered price target, right? Just the same way it works to the upside. The analysts come out, they say good things, they hike a price target, right? Nvidia beats a report, the stock goes up, then all the analysts cheer, and the stock keeps climbing. That works in reverse sometimes too. And
That's a very good point. That's a very good point. You know, a downgrade serving as a catalyst for a stock to open down 1.5%, 2%. The stock might trade flat all day, but if it opened down 2% and it trades flat all day, it's still down 2%, right?
And it adds to the momentum, right? And then a lot of times it comes and it's a bad earnings report, and then it's an analyst downgrade, but then it just becomes a momentum trade that was kind of fueled by those things. Market mechanics.
Take a look at your Chewy. It's having a nice day, and we held that VWAP from. Yeah, me too. We held that VWAP from the June high yesterday. So I like
got to
that
get
one.
on there. I need some more crystal litter. Yeah, it looks great. It looks good.
Yep.
You know what?
I noticed it was up today, so that's why I was mentioning it. It's having a decent day.
What doesn't look good and is very important is crypto.
Yes.
If these are tops, oh boy, not good. That
good.
is one of the most bearish developments that could happen. Like right now, this week, Bitcoin completes a top. Look at Coinbase; it's already a top.
Yeah,
retesting that, it's a top.
I'm still holding on to my hope, which I know is not what we do with the markets. But that we get the shake. I feel like we've talked about a shake and then a bake a number of times with Bitcoin, and we've had a number of shakes, and I've been excited for the bake, and the bake hasn't come. So
they got to bake. They got to bake it. If you're in the kitchen, you got to bake it. You're running out of time.
It's time to bake.
Yeah.
Time to bake. Come on, Bitcoin.
It's been time.
Yeah, that's been a frustrating trade lately. Really frustrating.
Trust me.
All right, let's do some recess.
Sounds good.
Pow, pow.
I'll go.
Yeah, who wants to start?
So for Labor Day, it's the end of summer, especially here in Michigan, and so we were out on our boat much of the weekend. Brought a picture along with me. Spencer, did you get that in Slack? Okay, perfect. So this was just sunset out on Lake Michigan, out on our boat, and we have one more month that we still have access to our boat before it gets put away for the winter season. So, and we're losing daylight super fast. It's like dark at 9 o'clock now, and so it's just it's sadness that summer's coming to an end, although fall is my favorite with football and the pumpkins and the leaves and apple cider I know, apple cider and donuts and all those great things. I'm always sad to see summer go just because winter in Michigan is just so dang long. So it was a beautiful weekend. We had perfect weather.
It looks like it was an epic sunset.
It was beautiful. Cloudy sunsets, ones with clouds, are always the best because you always get all the reflection off of the clouds. Yeah, exactly.
That's a great picture.
Thank you.
I got nothing. I mean, I'm at the beach. I'm gonna try to get onto the beach within the hour if I can. I just want to say shout out to America. It's the first time since 2006, I believe, that an American man is gonna be in the finals of the U.S. Open. So that's exciting.
Oh.
Go America.
Who?
USA.
Well, we don't know yet because the semifinals are tomorrow, but one of the semifinals has 2 Americans in it. So one of them is going to win, right?
Yeah, that's how it works.
Right. So go America.
Did you see the thing about the tennis courts that are going to float in the ocean in Miami? See this?
No.
Look it up. Paddle. Floating tennis courts. Like,
is this for tennis or for like pickleball? Because you need a shorter court. Yeah,
I think it's pickle, but they're like
tennis is too large.
They're like building resorts in the ocean in Miami these days. It's gotten completely out of hand.
Out of control.
All right, throw up my magazine cover. This is just a good reminder. It's a lesson. This is from 2004. Just read this headline here. It's from the Aviation Week and Space Technology magazine. My golfing partner is a retired pilot, and he gets going. I'm stuck in a cart with him for 4 hours at a time. He starts talking about planes and space and Elon Musk and all these amazing things that SpaceX is doing. So I know way too much about it. 20 years ago, you would have thought that what's happening right now today is crazy. Can tiny SpaceX rock Boeing? You would have laughed just 20 years ago. It's not easy staying on top. Sure, Boeing has had their problems, but SpaceX was coming for them anyway, right? So in a moment where we're all huffing and puffing and looking at Nvidia this, Nvidia that, it's all about Nvidia, I just thought that this would be a nice reminder that it's not easy to be Nvidia for too long at a time.
Great point. And that's why we have the 2 to 100 club, baby.
Yeah, that's good.
I do love that scam.
That was good.
I shop from that one often.
All right. We will see you guys tomorrow. That's all we got for today. Smash the like. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Mary. Thanks to everyone for hanging out. We appreciate it. Bearing through the technical difficulties and the random laugh tracks and the Seinfeld and all that good stuff. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll make some money, all right?
Bye, everybody.
Shout out.